What's going on, everyone? Welcome back into another edition of the Vicktory Life Legacy Spotlight. I'm your host, owner, and founder of Vicktory Life, and today I have another great, legendary, historic sports family joining the episode, the Macklin Brothers, famous for athletes, also their leadership, and also some great things they've done during the golden era of the Peninsula District. I have joining the show David Macklin, former legendary Penn State player, also Mitchville High School football player I competed against for a few years, gave me some heartache. And also Paul Macklin joining the show, a legendary football player also at Mitchville, also did some great things in coaching. Now he's the current AD over at Phoebus High School. And David is the owner and founder of 4-on-4 Glory Days, right?
Glory Days, small
Yeah.
foot, yep.
Yep. So we're going to talk more about both of what you guys are doing now, but how you guys doing?
I'm blessed, man. Blessed. Thank you for inviting us, Vic, to your stage, man, your podium, man. We really appreciate this time.
Oh man, thank you. Like I said before we went recorded, man. It's an honor, man. I've been following you both from a distance. Once I was done playing in Hampton, man, I try to keep up with a lot of people, and this platform today is to highlight everything you guys have done. So let's get into it. We'll get into what you're doing now, your current state of affairs, but I want to talk about the foundation. I mentioned the golden era. When I started this Legacy Spotlight, one of the first two guests I had on was Tony Rutland and his best friend, Damon Bako, two legendary basketball players. Tony from Bethel, Damon obviously from where I was at Hampton High. He was my teammate when I played basketball. And they shared a lot of stuff about that time period and what it meant to me. But the great thing that stood out to me when I talked to them was both of them talked so glowingly about their fathers and their mother and their fathers. Damon, his uncle, is a legendary guy, had an impact on so many people. And then Damon's father was also the same kind of guy. And then Tony's dad was notorious for just being available and pushing guys to the limit and mentoring Tony and other basketball and football players. Talk about your family and, where'd you guys grow up? I think it's important for our guests to know about that. Paul, you can go first.
Well, like you stated, and I'm going to let David talk too about this, because our dad and mom they're the backbone of everything. They're the backbone of who we are as individuals and who we have become. The first thing is first, my mom and dad really was a praying family, man. God is first in everything that we do. And God has always been first in our lives, even as adults and even when we have our own children. And with that background, with Christ in our life, with our dad and mom instilling us, it is because of God's grace of where we at today. And our dad was very, very significant in our lives. My father, Paul Macklin Sr., I'm the second. My dad was coaching ever since he came out the womb, man. He from Newsom Park, Newport News. Went on to Carver High School back in the day when schools were still segregated.
Yep.
And then went to St. Paul for a little bit and graduated from Christopher Newport College at the time, and then he started his coaching career. I mean, he started at Lindsay Middle School and then moved on to the high school level. I mean, he was a coach at Phoebus High School at one time in 1984. He was a JV football coach at Phoebus. He coached at Bethel High School with Kozlowski when you had them Sean Gale days. You know what I mean? Also coached track at Bethel. Also coached at Kickintan. He did a little stint of that, and then he started in Newport News, and York County, coached at York, and then finished up his career at Ferguson, the old Ferguson, which is now the old Warwick and / Heritage. So my father was the implant of who we are, and he kept David and I out of trouble by keeping us in the sports. We uptown folks, we Debbie, we Newport News, but. He did everything he could do, and to help us get out of trouble and help others. And the mama's the breadwinner. She brought everybody together. So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna let little bro talk about how mom and dad meant to him. So,
Hey, but hold on, before David speaks on it, I do want to say this, and you know, my father went to Huntington, and when I was playing against David, my dad said, "Do you understand how good their dad?" You know, that's how my dad told me. He said, "Do you understand who their father is?" And I was like, "I mean, nah, bro. Like, you know, I'm 14. You know, I'm more." He's like, "Listen." He just he didn't give me all of that, but shout out to your dad. It's amazing the legacy, because even now, just talking about everywhere it was, the impact, not just on YouTube, is, you know, it's just amazing. And my dad always talked about him. But David, your thoughts?
First of all, I want to thank you, Vic, for having us on, man. Been doing an amazing job with your podcast. It's good to see, brother, come back from where we come from, man, and just pushing a lot of positivity and pretty much remembering the roots. Remember where we all come from. I know my brother and I always talk about, hey, man, come back, keep coming back, keep engaged with the community. A lot of these kids now, shoot, I came in the NFL. I was drafted in 2000. It's 2025 now, so a lot of these kids weren't even born. So what you're doing, I think, is definitely impactful, man. And just continue to keeping the roots going. So congrats to you, man, and keep doing what you're doing. As far as my mother and father, man, they have been, the foundation, like you said, for Paul and I, man, and the roots, really the roots that sink right into the soil, man. And that's first starting with, like Paul was saying, with the Lord. Us growing up at a young age at First Baptist Denby, right in the middle of Denby. In Newport News, and where Marcellus Harris and Anton, but they have done some great things with the Safe Haven Project.
Yes, yes.
Doing things uptown Newport News, man. I know when I talk to people around the country, they talk about Newport News and the stigma of kind of what we've made with the bad side, but now we're changing that concept to the good side, especially uptown, man. So congrats to a lot of those guys, a lot of people that are doing things in the Denby area and the Newport News area as well. So like I said, we started at First Baptist Denby, where Paul and I were very involved, very engaged, whether it was ushering, whether it was, marching down the aisles, and singing in the choir, that's who we are, man. And the community that we come from, man, and just the people that we've been impacted by. Sports has just been a fragment of our life. That's kind of what we've done, to keep us, like Paul said, out of trouble. And God bless both of us with tremendous athletic ability. We've been so blessed, man, to play against and have so much competition growing up. As you know, guys like yourself, Mike, AI, a lot of guys, man, that just come from our area. So when people ask me how was it in the league and how was it in college, man, it was just another step, because we already had that competition from the 757.
Yes.
So my dad, man, he's been our rock. He started us early, running track. He formulated his own track club. I tell kids all to this day, man, track is the nucleus for anything that you want to do, whether you want to play baseball, soccer, everything. It's the nucleus. And dad, man, he from a young age, he had us traveling, man. We were traveling the nation, running track. Paul made the nationals, man. We drove all the way across to California to see him run. And that just was the start of kind of, what we became to be as student athletes. And my mother, she's mathematician. She's a retired math teacher for 30 years. And my dad, obviously, he was a coach and coached, with a lot of guys, AB, Curtis West, Elvis Singleton, Terry Cobb, guys that growing up at Ferguson High School. And then you can either talk about York, and you coached against Terry Kirby and Chris Slade, and just the names go on, and then you think about somebody like Barbecue, man, that just passed away. Just remembering him and his life, and kind of how Q introduced me to just the sports, just kind of what the locker room feel was, how he took care of his business every day, man. When I was a little boy, just happy with my dad, and tour days. I think Paul was in school already. He was playing. He was in practice as well. But I was just following my dad around at that time, and then I was playing little league too. So, my parents have been everything to us, and it's been a blessing to see parents that have stayed together. And whether it's good or bad. Paul and I rarely seen the bad. Of course we seen arguments and things like that, like any other marriage couple does. But they've been able to stay together. They've taught us how to pray together, and how to put God first. And Dad never shied away from being a perfect man, but he has been a godly man. He has shown us the way. So I'm definitely grateful for that. I have a son now. He just turned 8. So I understand a lot on what fatherhood means, what it means to have a father in the home, what it means to just put God first. Obviously, being that model for your child. And it just gave us an opportunity to give us a space to be able to be successful at whatever we wanted to do. Whether for me it was playing, at a high level. For Paul, it's been playing and coaching, now athletic director, and for me, moving on and really working to grow a foundation and network and things of that nature. So I get to have a little fun, man. My first part of my life has been, obviously with pro sports, has been, high intensity, high reward, short period of time. A lot of pressure, but can be rewarding as well. But then you got to turn the hat to networking and relationships and things of that nature. So I'm learning, man. I'm learning every day. I enjoy it, and for sure, my parents have been the foundation of that. And if anything, you can go back to people that have known them and their coaching or teaching, and that still just reverence them. That they still can go back to those people and pick up just like they left. And that means a lot because, sometimes you leave and sometimes you kind of get disconnected from folks and you don't have those relationships no more. But I can truly say that my parents have, outside of Paul and I, they have built a legacy for themselves of just relationships and people that they've been able to be blessed by and be a blessing to by putting God first. So
Absolutely.
I've been blessed, man. We had the model. Mom and dad been together, Paul, for 54, 53 years. And they're still going like they just met, man. So that's a testament to them, testament for them, just standing on the Lord and just really doing things the right way. And it's a legacy, it's a model for me to continue to aspire to live by each day.
Oh man, goodness, that right there is just amazing and insightful. And my parents, I think, around the same time, 53, 54 years marriage. You named some great people, and that just shows you the impact your parents had on the community of Newport News and Hampton and their legacy, which is why I do this. And this is why I have you both on, because, the other day you mentioned a lot of those guys you mentioned have been on this podcast. Marcellus Harris was on here a few years ago, and I was the other day just in this office doing some stuff, getting it straight. And I had the 30 for 30 on for Iverson, and I saw Marcellus Harris's father on there. Two things came to mind. I said, man, what a great family. And then number two, I said, man, I'm getting old. Because I'm like, wow. I said, I remember we lived through that situation. And I'm glad a lot of those guys came out and they're better. So that was a great time. And that era was special. I want to talk about that. I'll go back to you, Paul. When you look back into it, man, you've coached in a lot of different places and you had a great career yourself. But before that, there's always that youth sports. There's that, you ran track. Alicia Tucker shouted you out. I remember when you guys were running track. You were really good. But there's, as we talked about to start this episode, there's a foundation. I had Marcellus Brown on, Marseille, and he made a great point one time a few years ago. He was the legendary guard at Kickerton, played alongside Brett Harper, played at University of Richmond and also Hampton University. Marseille was like, yo, Vic, we were just hooping. I was never thinking about offers and scholarships because his father was on him. He had a great father. And Paul, talking about sports, when, did you just wake up and said, okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to run track, I'm going to play football? Like, what, how did that come about? Because again, we didn't know any better. Our area is entrenched in competition. And for some people, it was like, for me, I spent a lot of time active in the church and playing sports. And then in, my neighborhood, we moved from Eastern Newport News to Hampton Shell Road. So it was always about community. So I didn't know any better. Play for the Aberdeen Raiders. It was like, you're going to do something. Like Denzel said, you're going to leave with something. My mom and dad said, you're going to do something. So I was active. And then all of a sudden, you have this legacy. Well, what was it like for you? When did it, was it your dad was like, I'm going to put you in this, you're going to sign up? What youth league? When did it start?
Well, Vic, that's going to be, I'll be here till tomorrow to tell.
Well, give us a snapshot.
And let me give you a snapshot real quick. First of all,
Vic, give me 1 minute. I'm gonna be right back. Y'all keep going.
Sure, you good.
well, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you what happened, bro. It wasn't no choice. I remember one day I was about 8 years old, Vic, and my dad said, "Let's go." It was on a Saturday. I said, "Man, where we going?" He said, "Let's go. We gonna run it." I saw this track meet in the paper. We're going to Lindsay Middle School, and we're going to run track with Ron Gardner. At that time, Ron Gardner had Tony Wheeler and those guys. So I get up. We run in the Jesse Owens meet. It was at Lindsay Middle School. I was 8 years old. I won about 2 or 3 events. One of my best friends, Daryl Ward, that went to Fevers High School, he was there.
Yeah.
I started running track at 8, man, at a very early age. And he was a little taller at this time, but it was a good, track really was my main thing. And I played, I played basketball and football when I was young, but track was my thing. And let me tell you another thing. You can ask your Virginia Tech buddy too, Antonio Banks. So my dad made a track team. We had Antonio Banks on it. We had Sean Hamlin on it. With Lisa Tucker was on it. I mean, Coach, I just want to know. I just want you to know that I love my father, but my father he mixed the line, New Producer Hampton all day. Williamsburg. I mean, we had Rico Greenhow that's over there in Lafayette that played ball with me in Union. We had a little mystery, and every summer we used to go to Jesse Owens AAU meets. Man, that's really what started everything. You know what I mean for us. And it was a great time. That was the first time that me, Antonio, Sean, we ever went to Duke University running in a track meet. You know what I mean? We was all tight because at that time, Sean and Antonio, we was Newport News guys, and they went to Mitchfield until Sean transferred to Hampton. You know what I mean? And Antonio ended up playing at Warwick. You know what I mean? And so coaching has always, and athletics has always been in my life. Vic. Since I was small, and and that has continued on today. And my father, him coaching, I took on that. Every dream that I don't hate, but I love going back because my father always wanted to either to play professional football or to coach at the college level. He was not able to do the college level, and he wasn't able to play professional. But I was able to take that torch from him when he wanted to coach college and pro. And then David took that torch from him when he wanted to play professional. You know what I mean? And so, those are the things. Everything stems back to my father, my mom, and I think coaching for me was just something innate. I started coaching. When I graduated from Virginia Union, started coaching at Woodside for a little bit, maybe for a year. Then after that, I started teaching at Heritage in '99 to 2001. During that time, Vic, Coach John Quillen, the late John Quillen,
yes,
was my head coach, and we won the state championship at Heritage 2000.
I was waiting for you to mention it. Listen, Paul.
That is still the only Newport News team dated to today that has ever won a state championship in football.
Yeah,
and I had Dwight Robinson, who is now he's one of my best friends. Dwight Robinson is now the head coach at Lansdowne High School.
Just saw him the other day. His son Damien is an animal.
It's animal.
Is an animal.
And freshman coach
is an animal.
Whole regional.
And that guy Dwight can coach. And look, hold on. Let me speak. Wasn't my big brother Melendez Bird on that staff?
He ran the defense. Bird in here? Or gonna be Bird?
Melendez was on. Listen, that's why I said I gotta be careful. We can go 2 hours because Melendez Bird was on that staff. Matter of fact, I was just finishing. I was just finishing trying to get back in NFL at that time, playing arena ball. And y'all played on Hampton High in the regional championship.
Was at Tar Stadium?
I just know y'all just destroyed us. 44 to something.
We had Black Stock on that team.
Yeah.
And we had Michael Johnson on that team. Michael Johnson is a counselor at Liberty University. Black Stock is now a football coach with Mike Lundy at
William & Mary.
So man, we had some good studs on that team. Rudy Ford was a defensive end that played at Hampton University. So I did that. I coached at Heritage, and then I went on to college. Man, I was a GA assistant at Indiana State for 3 years. Back there, then went to Delaware State in 2006, 2007, where we won the MEAC championship at Delaware State in 2007.
Yes, you did. I've been watching. Yes.
Then I became an OC at Cheney University Division II school in the PSAC. Finished there, then finished my coaching career at Norfolk State from 2010 to 2015, where we won the MEAC championship in 2011, and then I was a recruiting coordinator from 12 to 15, and then after that, coach, I got into I was a director of Norfolk Parks and Recreation. I was a youth director there for 3 years, and I became the AD at Woodside in 2018, and then this July I'm at athletic director at FIBA. So, and God has blessed me to win some championships.
That's why I said before we hit record, ladies and gentlemen, when I run this, I want you guys to know. That's why I said before I hit record, this guy wins championships wherever he goes. I mean, we need to get a street named after you back home.
Really. God is good. God is good. And my younger brother David keeps me in line, keeps me humble. Always say, we always grind, and I really appreciate that. So, but coaching, to make it short, coaching has always been a part of my life, and now I'm just trying to instill in the other kids the way of life. You know what I mean? And how.
Yeah. So, well, I just love also too how you just flowed and just said all that. Like, it was just I did this, I did that. The God is definitely good because everything you named wasn't just about the championships. I mean, everywhere you went, you were changing lives, and you were part of some special memories for a lot of young men and women. I mean, you talk about all those places, and I remember most of them, and I just remember seeing it from afar and keeping track of it, and it's impressive. And everyone can't do that, and that's why I love the fact that you both are still successful. Life after sports. That's the whole piece about that transitional plan. So that foundation I asked you about really did have an impact. David, same question. When was it because you saw your older brother get into it? Like, what happened? Did you wake up? I know your dad, we talked a lot about his impact. Did you know from a young age, okay, I'm going to do track, I'm going to do football, I'm going to do soccer? Like, what happened? When did you wake up and say, okay, like, I'm talking about when you were young?
That's a good question, man. I mean, as of recent, man, my son has gotten into baseball. So I'm like, man, that's one sport I've never tried. But he's doing it. He's doing it now, man, and he loves it. He's about to start up. He just finished his basketball season. And it was just the foundation, man, the pedigree. Obviously my brother did it my dad did it a certain way coaching. My brother did it a certain way. We had competition. He had big brothers, god brothers, best friends. They all, our area, that's just kind of what the pedigree was. And I wanted to do it on the field, obviously with performance. I tried to maybe do what my dad wanted me to do, but do it better. Do what my brother did, but do it better. And it wasn't so much of me doing it better. It was more so of me just taking pride in what I've done, what I do. And I mean, when you get to the pro level, obviously, or the college level, they say, hey, the eye in the sky don't lie, the video. But you just want to make sure. I think at that time, without knowing those lines and those phrases, I just wanted to make sure that whatever I put out there, athletic wise, that it was representing the Macklin family, and I tell Kid with Paul about this all the time. When I was coming through middle school, 6th, 7th, and then everybody knew I was kind of going to Mitchfield, or they didn't know what, because I was at Denby first, had broken my collarbone as going into my JV year, my 8th grade year, and immediately after I broke my collarbone in practice, the first day of hitting, I switched over to Mitchfield. But I was always known as Paul's little brother. Nobody even knew me.
Yeah.
My name was David. They just knew I was Paul's little brother. You Paul Macklin, little brother, you Paul. And the coaches, whether it was Bob Smith or Coach Jacobs would come over to me and say, hey, man, hey, I know you were over there at Denby, but, I know you're zoned for here. We sure would like to have you over here. I know you're Paul's brother. I mean, I ain't even stepped foot in the school. I was in the school by we were there for parent-teacher conference. That joker came up running to me. And, I set out my 8th grade year. My 9th grade year, I came to Mitchfield. Man, it hadn't been a week yet. I ain't even I didn't even make it to football camp, to the summer camp, because I didn't know if I wanted to play football. And
wow.
So I ended up. Coach Jacob came over and talked to me. My dad, he Paul's off to college, and he's like, hey man, you could just come out there and just check it out, blah, blah, blah. And I knew in my heart, I could do it. I had some mental blockage going on with, should I play football anymore? I broke my collarbone. I don't want to be all broken. So I get out there, I start practicing. And then I'll go through a game. I'm sitting out because I didn't play the summer ball, summer practice. I didn't do camp. And all true story. So we played Ferguson, I think, the first or second game. If B2 of them was we were playing at Todd Stadium, man, and B and them, that's when my competitive juices started getting back going. B had the nerve enough to start talking junk to me. And I'm on the sideline because I'm not playing because I hadn't made it to camp. I didn't decide what I was going to play. So it was just that brotherly competition between B2 and I, Marcellus Harris. And he was like, man, you ain't even playing, And I said, man, I just got here. So we ended up going the next game. I think we played somebody else. And then I think the third game I played against Bethel. I think it was, I believe it was Bethel. I went out there and I got about 3 interceptions and scored like 3 touchdowns. This was JV. Coach Jacob said, hey, all right, son, we take you. I only played 1 game of JV. I only played 1 game of JV, man. And, they took me up. I played varsity my freshman year. And, when I was looking at the guys on the JV level, I was like, oh, hold on once. So when I was looking at the guys on the field, when I was watching the JV game, I was just up here like, man, these jokers. I already knew. And I ain't gonna mess with JV, man. I know once I get in here, because on the JV level, guys aren't, unless you Michael Vick or somebody like that had those mechanics, you getting a couple of those loud balls, you getting a couple of, so immediately I went up to varsity. But I just remember those stories. God blessed me. He had his hand over Paul and I. Coach Henderson being there at Mitchfield, he was another coach that took me in on the basketball side and really helped groom me. A stern coach, great basketball coach, even a greater man, great teacher. We had Pop Pitts there at Mitchfield. So we had all of these at the time, I didn't know it, these legends, that really played ball, went to college, played in college, now administrators, coaches that knew how to groom and knew what to do with my talent. And Coach Jacobs did a great job too, allowing me to be who I needed to be on the field. I played every position, obviously on the football field. And then you started track. And track was one of the sports that I wish I would have done all 4 years like Paul. I ran track my freshman year and my senior year. But I kind of felt that disconnect with myself and some of the track athletes. You got Sean Ricks, you got, Kyle Van, you got, we had so many great track athletes that I didn't really get a chance to cultivate a good relationship with because, basketball, football was mainly my focus. But track was one of those, obviously those bumblebees out there, man. A lot of those guys and girls, they ran indoor and outdoor. And I needed to rest at some point in time. I kind of found that out my freshman year in college at Penn State. I went from playing basketball. We beat Texas in the Fiesta Bowl against Ricky Williams and Priest Holmes. Blew them out in the Fiesta Bowl. The next day, I'm on a flight to basketball practice at Penn State. Coach Paterno, all of them, they loved it. They loved it. I played right after basketball season. The next week, I'm in the spring ball for football. And they're like, oh, you got to lift. You got to, we love that you play. So that first year playing both sports in college was, I don't know how Charlie Ward did it. Charlie was like I don't know what regiment they put Charlie on. Obviously he was a quarterback, but he didn't maybe have to do all the tough lifting and all those different things.
Yeah.
The football team had to do because he had to keep his body limber for basketball. But he was just a freak of nature. Charlie was able to do it. But me thinking back on it, man, I wish I would have stayed playing basketball, but it would have been a strict schedule that I would have needed to stay on
yeah. I'm glad you reminded me that you hooped in college because I remember high school because I played both. And this is why I say it was a golden era because you talk about how tough it was. David, you did it a little bit. Ronald Curry did it a little bit. Terry Kirby did it a little bit. But I think when I look back on the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, Tyrod Taylor didn't do it at Tech, but he did it in high school. And there were a lot of people that did it, whether it was track and football or baseball and football. Sean Hamlet played 3 sports in high school. And I forgot that you did at Penn State. You just reminded me. And I just think it's just very difficult. But yet I love the fact that back then guys played sports year round. I think that's why y'all became household names, because I would see your face on the football field, and I would see you in the layup line, and then I would see you at a party, or then I would see you over at Todd Stadium, getting on the blocks. It was just like, it was constant. Guys played multiple sports, but you're right. I forgot about that, and I don't know how you even did it for the little bit of time you did. I think it was cool though that your coaches at the time supported it. I think from what I've heard in the 804-757 Richmond area, the Toddwood area, and even up here where I'm at in Northern Virginia, coaches sometimes compete with each other over players. It's some resentment, it's some beef, and yeah, I know you deal with it, Paul. It's just it's harder, man, because like when I did it, Coach Brock was coaching the JV team for football. So at that time, him and Mike Smith, they got along great because Coach Brock was a JV coach for football, and then he went in with but now I'll run the guys. Even when I come home to the Peninsula, I'll be like, "Hey, why don't you you're 6'5". You don't ever think about playing basketball?" Nah, man, I want to, but it's the coaches and all of that.
The times changed. The times changed.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just saw you a few minutes ago. You did a podcast. You did a IG thing when you said, "Come on, VHSL, man, have a daggone shot clock."
Yeah.
And man. So there's some things nowadays in today's culture, kids just don't go out and play no more. All right, that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
They rather stay inside, play video games, things that they take the they don't go out there and sweat and do some of the stuff that we had to do and compete. Compete is just not in some kids' DNA. And the dual sport athlete is no more anymore. The AAU circuit has taken over that. Everything now is year round, even with football. You got 7-on-7 in the spring. Back in the day, you either played baseball or you ran track. You know what I mean? If I played football, I'll play baseball. You know what I'm saying? I play baseball and track in the spring. But that stuff now is everything is so. The youth sports has taken over so much, even with recruiting for basketball, man. If you don't play AAU basketball, that's where most of your recruiting is.
That's where the recruiting is.
So the whole dynamics of high school sports and athletes has totally changed the whole perspective now. You know what I mean? And so just don't get those dual sport athletes anymore. It's a struggle. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Well, I also want to, I'm glad we'll stick with you, Paul, on this question. Your brother brought up the coach. He didn't know they were legends at the time. I think that's also one of the things when I go home or when I'm in group chats or when I talk to my guys like Myron Newsom and we reminisce and reflect on our time. And he talks about he had 2 great son athletes, and we talk about the coaches we played against and played for. I think it's hard, man. You talk about your father. I think what also changed, the reason why I call the era we were in the golden era is because you had Coach Macklin, you had Coach Kaj, you had Coach Smith, Coach Newsom, Coach Bill Deed, and later Coach Sexton, Tommy Riemann, Coach Riemann. And I'm not hating on no new guys. It's just guys bounce around now. There's more scandals. I mean, we were very blessed and fortunate where guys stayed 30 years, 25 years. You saw them at church. You saw them at the barbershop. They came into your classroom. Hey, wake up, tap you on the shoulder. That was just a special time. Speaking of that time, though, Paul, you were at Minchfield. What high school were you at? You were at
I was at Minchfield from 90.
Minchfield. Yeah. So yeah, I just want to make sure because Paul, David threw me off with the Denby thing. Because I remember, so let's talk about that time. Let's dive into the Peninsula District. This is a time, I'm going to take you back to my viewers. This was a time that 8-2, you might not, most likely, if you had an 8-2 record, you weren't going to the playoffs. You're talking about minus Gloucester every night, on Friday night. There were no Saturday morning games unless we were playing a Newport News School where they moved it to 11 or 12 o'clock because of violence. Other than that, Friday nights, there were no Thursday night games like they have now. It was a gauntlet. And I watched you play. You were a household name. Just talk about the battles. Reflect on some of the games. Games you look forward to. Who did you have to tighten your chin strap up extra tight? Who did you look forward to? Who brought the best out of you? I love that era. because games were coming on TV, and you could watch them over and over again. And then on top of it, man, like I remember, being in middle school, watching you guys compete. Talk about maybe some of your better games, that era. Just take us back to what you remember about.
Well, in my era from 92 to 96, man, we kind of relied on the 80s. The 80s really cultivated the Peninsula District back in that time. So you mentioned some great names. You had your Todd, you had your Todd Kelly's, you had your Chris Slade, you had your my cousin Eric Hunter at Hampton.
Whoa, that was your cousin?
Yeah, he's our cousin. This and so we had a lot of people, the Maurice Turners, the Phoebas, I mean, you had a lot of the '80s kind of brought up those '90s, and those '90s in my area, man, it was, Peninsula District, man, VHSL was into three classes: 1A, 2A, 3A,
Yep.
and now the Virginia High School League is now 6 classifications. So you have 6 different state champions in all divisions. And back in the day, we only had 3. So the Peninsula District was very strong, man. I mean, it was very. We had some great athletes, man. We, like you said, the guys you mentioned, and we had AI, and you had the Macklin Brothers, and man, it was just so every school had somebody that somebody knew at that school, and then
Mm-hmm.
everybody was going to compete with. And yeah, you're right. It wasn't everything. Friday night lights, man. That was the most important thing. The neighborhood didn't affect Friday night lights. Every
Mm-mm.
day, everybody who worked, they went to a Friday night game because that's where it happened. Now these days, like for instance, the city of Hampton, the Hampton schools can't play each other on Friday nights. We have to play each other on Saturdays at 12 o'clock
Saturdays.
because of the community people that's around the community. They can't get together. They fighting outside the football. So that right there in itself is, and also Newport News, because I was in Newport News for quite a while. So your days of the Fevers, or the days of the Hampton versus the Bethels, or the Hampton versus the Fevers back in the day when Darling Stadium used to be packed and things like that. Or you had the rival of Mitchfield and Denby, or Warwick,
Hmm.
or Warwick, at that time maybe Warwick and Ferguson, or Warwick and, let's say, Mitchfield, or somebody in Newport News. Those games are played up on Saturdays because of what the neighborhood is affecting the games. You know what I mean? The shootings and things like that. So it takes the integrity away from the game. Because remember, at 12 o'clock on Saturdays, guess who plays on Saturdays? Little Leagues. So they
Yes.
expect the Little Leagues now. The other Little League kids can't go. I can't, as a high school kid, I can't go on Saturday to watch the Little League guys play. You know what I mean? And so kids can be inspired to play for the high school, where kids can wear their jersey, to the Little League games. You know what I mean? Gosman Park. You know something about that. The Thieves
I
and Hampton
remember.
the Gosman Park to see the Little Leagues and things like that. So that has taken the integrity from the game. And guess what? And what has happened is people just not coming to games. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And at 12 o'clock on a Saturday, man, people work all week. And so it's tough to get people to go to games. So the competitive nature of the Peninsula District back then was good, man. Yeah, good
What do
competition.
you What do you remember? What's one of your favorite games that you played? What's a game when we said let's put in the VCR tape, or let me look? I'm gonna tell you, this game right here is when I was in my bag. What's a game that it lives rent free when it comes to, you think I was you think I wasn't playing? This is a game I was not playing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is there a game
Well, I
against
tell you
Bethel,
what.
Hampton?
Well, I tell you what. I was an okay athlete. I'm not gonna say. David got all the genes. David had all the great, the great things. I was fast though. I mean, there were a couple of games that I made a difference. Scored some touchdowns. Ferguson, about my senior year, I scored a touchdown, maybe a 67-yard touchdown. And guess what? The funny part about that was, Vic, my dad was the defense coordinator for Ferguson, so I scored a touchdown against him. You know what I mean? So. So, you know what I mean? So those are certain things that I can remember. I know that hurt this hard to whatever, but hey, we had some stories when we got back home. But and then my freshman year at basketball, man, we had a pretty good JV team. We had Fred Lassiter on my team, Sean,
Ooh,
Antonio, man. Our freshman basketball team was real tough, bro. And we played against Mario Haskett, the Haskett boys at
Askin Brothers.
Man, God knows, me and Mario, we still talk to today, man. And so, I'm an up kid. I'm an uptown kid. He a downtown kid. He used to mess with me. He like Macklin mess with my shorts and stuff like that. I wasn't ready for that at that time. You know what I mean? So that's the intimidation factor, man. I always tell him, man, that was something that me and him always talked about, but we were really good friends now. So, but those are the games I remember. But most importantly, it was track. that was my main thing. I won the state champ.
Yeah.
I mean, the 4x4, we won the 4x4 state at Todd Stadium at Mitchfield when I was a sophomore, man. So that was very, that was
That
very.
was a special moment, wasn't it? That was that right there. I remember reading about that in the Daily Press. They don't even do the breakdowns no more. It used to be like a 4-page section highlighting stuff like that. Now you got to go online or somebody's got to go and post it. But that moment was special, wasn't it? Because let me tell you something. I told you I had Alicia Tucker on the UVA and Hampton High grade, and she took me down memory lane. The track stars during that era was legendary, and you guys won the 4x4. How was that? Was that special?
It was very special for me, my ninth grade year. But that was something where we had the late great Charlie Nutticone was coach there. He back then. His daughter Jenny Nutticone is the AD at Mitchfield right now.
Mm-hmm.
He really got me and James, Charles Cook. He was a senior during that time. He went on to Wisconsin to run track, and I don't know if you ever met a guy named Steve Johnson, man. I tell you what, that's my guy, man. He won 800 his sophomore, junior, and senior year, bro. And and so we had a very good team, and every year, man, track was something that really, I really cherish, man. I wish I would have kept it on in college, but my dad ran us since we was 8, and it got to a point in time, Vic, that I got a football scholarship at the Union. That's what I'm wearing right now. And
Yes, sir.
Vic, I kind of got burnt out a little bit, man. You know what I'm saying? Doing it since you was small, bro. It was kind of like,
Hey, man.
You know what I mean? Go from there.
It's all good. It's all good because first of all, my kids ran track when they were in middle school, and I knew it then. But I used to go up to Hampton University or Todd or Darling, and then leave and come back. I only did track and field. I was the field. I did shot put,
Right.
and that was just my sophomore year. And listen, I don't miss it because I didn't. My wife was all met. My wife was all met. She ran up here in Northern Virginia. She should have ran in college, but she was a sprinter, and she was all met, and she was used to it. I was used to basketball and football being a few hours. Track meets me at 7 a.m. till 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, listen, I have a life to live. Y'all be up there, man. And then you got this heat and this heat. And then as the years went on, they added some weird events, the race walk. I said, what is this, bro? What we did? Yeah. But then, God bless track you because it's on you. It's on you. It's a team with the relays, but it's still on you. Yeah. So great job, reflecting on those guys, man. And, the track meets, and congratulations again. I know that was a long time ago, but still, a legendary moment. David, for you.
Nick, you want to know my favorite game?
Yes, please. I want to know. Favorite moments, because your brother puts you on the spot saying he was the one with all the moments. So give me some moments. Okay. Now, hold on. There's a moment that I hate you and love you at the same time because I respect you for it. You guys were having a great year. It came down to y'all and Kickintan for the district title. Yeah. Y'all beat us at Todd State the first time in school history. Mm-hmm. So I was on the wrong side of history. And we were about to go up two scores on y'all. And we threw a slant. Our quarterback, John Logan, threw a slant to a receiver. I think his name was I can't remember his name, Malcolm or whatever. And he broke out. And here you go in your helmet with that towel flag hanging out. You had that towel, and you walked him down. And then you stripped it and recovered it. And we didn't recover.
You played for Hampton?
I was at Hampton. Yeah,
I remember that play. Yeah, I remember that play.
Yeah, remember? Yeah, and it won't get the notoriety because it was a regular season game, but basically it was a pseudo district title game because if we win that, we at least share the title with Kickintan. We would need us to win that and them to beat Kickintan. But David, you walked that kid down, man. I mean, you came out of nowhere, man. I hated you. I looked at you. I remember because I was a lineman. How we do that lineman jog. I'm like, go, 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 go. Then all of a sudden you see, yeah. But that was just my memory of you. But there was others. But yeah, let's talk about it.
I mean, that was what I was. I think I was a sophomore that year, freshman or something.
You're young. You were a sophomore. You were a sophomore.
That put him on the map because remember he was a state he made all honors for state that year, right, David? That kind of put
Yeah,
solidify you from there.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, when you start talking about moments, man, I mean, I'm thinking of basketball, I'm thinking of
You can
football.
throw them all in. Throw them all in. It's your legacy spotlight.
Yeah,
Bring them
man.
all up. Flex
Yeah,
right now, as the kids say.
I,
It's your
I,
time to
I,
flex.
I could say the 6, 7 touchdowns against Gloucester, but I can't really talk about that one. That was a fun game. To Indian River playing against Tony Morrison and James Boyd and them.
Hmm.
He going over to Jake and said, "Man, throw me the ball," and I just tap my head. One time they throw it to me, finally I scored a touchdown. I said we did a double move, and but they ended up beating us pretty bad. That was in the playoffs. But
Yep.
T-Mobile, they had a team. I mean,
Yeah.
he had hunters on that defense. But we had Malcolm Williams and Boogie and Jay
Big Malcolm Wayne. He about my size running the ball. Good Lord. Where y'all getting him at?
and Timo was coming downhill on them boys. Me and Tony caught up at a golf event, man. We were just talking about those moments, man. But even from basketball, man, us losing in the state, but us losing because our whole first five fouled out. They weren't used to seeing that kind of pressure and pressing, full court. And we had referees that were from everywhere. They weren't from just the Peninsula district area. So we, you know,
Who was that against, David?
that was against Hopewell. We lost to
Oh,
Hopewell,
yeah.
man, but we had ended up
Yeah.
beating Jason Capel that year. We beat Plex in them at Green Run. We beat Jason Capel in them the second game. Then we ended up playing Hopewell, which they weren't better than either one of those teams, but we were falling out. But like I said, our whole first five filed out, man, and that was a time. That was a good year, a good year. But even to your point, that Kickintan game. I scored. We were playing for the district. That was a big. But these were good moments because I was a young pup, and I was performing at a high level, on that side of things. And then, junior and senior year, that was more so of me just being a leader, but more so a leader on the field. We playing against Hampton and Kickintan and Phoebus with Womack. I mean, y'all had to laugh. I mean. Well, Ferguson, I mean, one thing I can't say about our era is that we didn't want to go play with them dudes, and them dudes didn't want to come play with us. We wanted to play against each other. We made each other better. Everybody had talent on their team, just some had more. Like Hampton had maybe a little bit more talent. Kickintan had a little bit more talent. Ferguson had a lot of talent.
Yes, they did.
Well, we had a lot of talent, but we still had a mixture. We really. We didn't have a good maybe 8, 9 guys that could take us over the hump. 8, 9 guys. So, but we still had a lot of great athletes, man. And high school for me, man, was just so many great moments. As you know, once you go to college, it's a little bit more business. Now it's really business for these kids, NIL and all that.
Yes.
But I'm just so thankful for coming through where I came through in the 757, man, and just playing in that era, man. It's just it was just a special time, man. Just the competition, and I talk to my brother every now and then about the pedigree, the makeup, the DNA, and hats off to Phoebus High School, man, for winning like they've been winning. But my question is, could that have happened in our era? That much winning would have happened. Now Hampton won when we were coming through. Hampton won. Mike won, but
hold on, David.
Hats off to Phoebus though.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna answer it. I'm not because Paul got to be careful because he's an AD and they got the AD meetings. I can speak on this. Is my show. Okay. I respect Coach Blunt. And I got a lot of love for Phoebus. That definitely, when I was coming up, was a love-hate rivalry. I loved to play him. I hated to lose. Thank God we only lost once, but I have so much respect for Phoebus. Speaking of the golden era, my biggest complaint I posted on Facebook, I've said this on pods and blogs I've done. I think the sad part, and your brother touched on this, and this is not to shame Phoebus for having talent from Jordan Bass and all these kids. They got a young quarterback. They got my cousin over there, the other Vic. They got dogs. The problem right now, other than Ward, my nephew is at Bethel. He's a dog. He's got 11 scholarships. Derek Fisher. He's a quarterback and safety. It's not a plethora of schools that can challenge Phoebus. The coaching, the games, I mean, I'll check the score at the running clock by that second quarter. You're talking about Denby had the running backs during our era, number one, number two, and number three. They were literally number one, number two, number three. They were physical.
Roosevelt.
Yeah. So you missed. Yeah, thank you. I can't remember all the names. Mitchfield. Even if we beat y'all, you had Robert Hunt and the other lineman. It was a gauntlet. It was. Phoebus is rarely challenged. They had to play, and they did their homework. You know, they did what they did. They played Highland Springs, so they are legit. They beat Highland Springs. That Highland Springs was tough to do. I follow along. This is not an indictment of Phoebus, but the schools now, kids, especially in Hampton with the academies, they'll enroll and go somewhere else, or they'll go here. They won't stay and build something. And there's a lot of fluctuation of coaches, and it's just not the same. It's not Phoebus's fault. The Peninsula district is nowhere near what it was. This is a district that has over 30 state championships combined in football.
That's all sports.
Yeah, it's all sports. Heritage. Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. Heritage is not the same. This is not the heritage where, you know, Paul was at with Melendez Bird and those guys. I spoke to those kids when Melendez Bird was there because he was a school counselor, he was a guidance counselor. I remember when Michael Johnson and Daryl and them were young. And they stayed the course. They took their lumps. They stayed the course. This is not Kickerton High School, where Kickerton had Chip Laws, Morocco Brown, and all those guys on that team. The brothers, Damien and those guys. They had the brothers, the running back, the Roberts brothers. They had so many people on that team. Macy Brooks was there on the shout out to my guy Macy Brooks. David, they do not have that. So Phoebus is already right now, even with all the talent they lost, they're going to be a favorite again. You know, Hampton's trying to come back. They lost legendary coach Mike Smith. He retired after 50 plus years. They got Woodrow, but it's tough. You know, David, I just had on some guys earlier. I did a recording. These are people that work in the Hampton City school system, the Newport News. And it's just different now to get kids to even get interested, to sacrifice time to play and give up Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. You talk about all the traveling you and your brother did when y'all were 8, 9, 10, 14, 13 years old. Kids are like, yo, what's in it for me? You know what I mean? So that's for another podcast, because I can tell you, you know, I had a guy text me one time 4 years ago. He said, Vic, why do you always say the golden era? I said, well, because even when Hampton High was at their dominance, Phoebus, when they had DB Brothers and DJ Parker and their dominance, and when Warwick had Antonio Banks and William Yarborough and all those guys, and Kickerton had Lawrence Lewis and all those guys, and you know, the quarterback that went on to JMU, my brother, I can't remember his name right now. They had so many great players. Even
talking about
Tony Jordan, thank you, Tony Jordan. He's been on the show too. Those guys stayed together from elementary, middle school. You might have 1 or 2 transfers. They stayed the course and they won. But if they didn't win, it was a close loss. It was even Iverson. Chuck and them had that great year their junior year, but they had to beat us my junior year, Iverson, to get to the playoffs because they were 7-2. They had lost to Phoebus that year and another team. So it were no gimmies. I just think right now when I look at what Phoebus is doing, it's pretty remarkable and impressive. Coach Blunt does a great job. They got some guys going to play for my cousin at Norfolk State, BJ's son, linebacker. So I'm happy.
Brandon.
Yeah. So it's just a different time, Dave. Thank you, Paul. It's just a different time.
Even to the kid that just had a good year at Penn State, receiver number 6, had a good year. Just heard that he was in the portal. He was in the NIL portal. So I guess where it is now, and it's just my assumption, it's just the recruiting has to be on point. I think, like you said, the patience level is small. The perseverance aspect of it. You know, you see these couple of good stories of a kid hop up and jump and go somewhere else, and now he's successful. Well, that might happen less than the majority. So no, but I get it. I'm sure it's definitely a conversation for another day. But
it's another podcast.
I think I may have the ADs on because I have you and my guy at Hampton, Justin Vias. I think we might have that because it is David. You know, you stirring the pot, but it's a good thing because there is a conversation. People ask me because even my nephew, who's a rising junior, he'll be a junior next year at Bethel. he always like, yo, Unc, why you always talk about like how Darlin and Todd used to be packed and the good old days? I said, I know I sound like the old head, the OG. I said, but you don't. I show him the tapes because I send him the links. When he comes up here to visit me. I said, I'm not hating on what y'all doing, but even when y'all lost the game, you were telling me how some of your teammates were like, oh, we're going to leave. They end up staying, but it's like, that never crossed my mind. I wanted to build something. And again, the one thing I will give Coach Blunt credit for, same thing with Steph Welsh at Woodside. If you build a culture and you know what you're doing, you're going to attract players. And I respectfully, I can say this, I don't want anyone else, this is my opinion. I feel like, again, I was part of an era where Kozlowski had a culture at Bethel. Coach Bill D had a culture at Phoebus. Coach Reedman at Ferguson had a culture with Aaron Brooks, and then Mike, my cousin, followed along. And then he went to work. And Mark, there was a culture there where guys, even if they didn't go to college, they went to community college, the apprentice school. They also had off-season workouts. Many of the guys played track and did football and baseball. Culture with a lot of these schools is non-existent, and that's what disappoints me.
But you know what, too, Mike? Yeah. You know what, too, Vic? One thing about that, too, them bounce off what you said. All them coaches you named weren't just football coaches. They all they were in the community. They were all multi-sport. They were all teachers. The pedigree was just way different. You know,
yes.
Like all these coaches that you said that created a culture, they weren't just football coaches. I mean, they were football coaches, but they were.
But one thing that to what David just said was importantly, they were teachers. They were in the building, culture, and that's where you have now. You know, you don't have that now. You know, a lot to me personally, the difference between the golden age and that it is coaching, has a lot to do with coaching. I remember the times when coaches used to go to coaches' clinics to learn the game, to strengthen your craft. A lot, and I'm just telling you right now, a lot of our coaching comes from Little League. Now, kids follow coaches. I'm just throwing that out there for free.
No, you're right. It's up here too.
And so what has happened is that, you know, you got your Coach Blunts, who Coach Blunt started when he was with Stan Sexton. He started.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He came through an era where he built. It was a tradition. He built on that tradition, and that is why he has been so successful, because of the level, the man of respect that he has from his players. His players respect him, but he's built a culture of that. You know what I mean? You don't find too many coaches that have stayed the longevity of what he has had to build that culture. You know what I mean? And that's you know, Steph. I was with Steph for 6 years. We didn't win. He didn't win in when he first started. No, but he built a culture. He built longevity. You see what I'm saying? Where now you're saying when you win, you build that. You know what I mean? And he works hard at what he does, and that's where. That's where my level of coaching comes in. And my level of just, try to help. I serve my coaches. I don't call myself an AD or boss. No, I serve them because because of what God has blessed me. I just tell them, hey, you got to grind. What are you teaching? Are you teaching just sports, or are you teaching how that person to be a man or a young lady? Because remember, only 2% of them athletes are going to make it to the next level. So you got to teach them how to be men and women. So those are the things that what David said those coaches had. They taught all their athletes how to be good, respectful men, good, productive citizens, and things like that. And I think that part is the problem too.
No, that's a great point. And both of you made a great point. You already get, my mind's always spinning. Some of that's my ADHD, and some of that's also just me always being a visionary. I already got an idea for a great series, of not one episode, but a series on this topic, because it's been eating at me. And David, you stirred the pot good. So good job by you. I know you always never been a controversial person, but you got that going. But it's not controversial because it's a hot topic, because my father and I talk about it all. He'll call me, he'll be like, man, I'm wasting my time. I went to this game, man. By the time I got my popcorn, it's 28-0 in the first. I said, Dad, because my dad is went to Huntington. So he talks about Huntington and Carver and Leroy Keys. And then, when we played, it was still this, and now it's just like, ugh, and it hurts me because I live 3 hours away, but I still go home. I watch it on my laptop, my phone. I want the district to be good. But we still have some great coaches. Sean DeBailey at Hampton, Eric Brown just won the state championship. My best friend at Hampton High last year, Division IV. But it was a different time. Triple A, single A, double A. Now it's 6 classifications. For example, I live in Northern Virginia. Woodson in Fairfax County, who just went down to beat Oscar Smith in Division 6, is going to play South Lakes in Division 6, who they're 7 miles apart, and they're both in Fairfax County. They're going to travel to VCU in the Siegel Center a few days from now and play for a state championship. Where you see now Verina and Highland Springs, both in the 804 Richmond area, playing in different divisions for a state championship. It is a mess right now with the VHSL. That's why I did a little vlog about the shot clock, because we have too much talent. You guys are perfect examples of the talent we've had, and our VHSL league needs to evolve and challenge these coaches, not just with background checks and CPR and first aid. We need to challenge them. This is not on the ADs. This is on the VHSL. But that's not y'all. That's me. I'm going to take that on. But just kind of wrapping things up, man. This has been so much fun. I want to finish up with just talking a little bit more about what you guys got going on now before we do our final thoughts. Paul, I know you've been coaching everywhere. I mean, didn't you coach at Norfolk State too once?
Yeah, I coached at Norfolk State.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a recruit coordinator from 2012 to 2015. So.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, you were there before Mike, man. You have been, as the people say in Maryland, you've been everywhere. You've been everywhere.
Yeah, man. I've been everywhere.
Everywhere.
I've been tasking on my family, man. I've been tasking on my family. Family, they want me to stay in one spot, so I'm here for. But I got enough to stay at home for good.
Okay, so let's speak on that before I get to David and what he's got going on with his organization. You're over at Phoebus. Again, shout out to Coach Blunt. 4 in a row. They tied their own record. They have 4 in a row. Highland Springs and Richmond, coached by my brother Lauren Johnson, has 4 in a row. And they've done it twice. Phoebus and Hampton did it 4 in a row. 3 with Ronald and 1 with Marcus Hagan. So that, no matter what era classification, is not easy. What do you got going on? How's the transition been from Woodside to Phoebus, and what's going over at Phoebus right now? Because we focus so much on football because they are the headline program, but there are other programs. Basketball just ended a few weeks ago. What do you have going on? What do you have some of your plans to continue to do on the sports traditions at Phoebus High School?
Well, first of all, shout out to Marcus Hagan's, Penn State. That's the old Dave's alma mater. Shout out to him. For right now, my transition right now is I'm just trying to, since football has set that bar, my job is to make sure I can get all the other athletic sports more involved and more competitive. And I have to start with my coaches. Well, first of all, I'm going to start with my principal, Mr. Coakley. He's given me the opportunity to come to Phoebus to definitely do some things. And Miss Fernita Brown, who has always been she has definitely been a person that I've learned. She's over athletics. She's helped me, transition. But my thing is I want my Phoebus community, all my athletes, to feel like, hey man, you got an AD that's just gonna care about you. That's gonna make sure you go out there and compete. Make sure you have some good coaching that's gonna coach you up. We may not win a whole lot of championships, but we want to be competitive. So, I've been there only 6 months. My goal is to make sure that all my teams are full. We have 4 JV and 4 varsity squads. Make sure they are well equipped with what they need in order to compete, and make sure our parents understand that, my coaches are working, and we're trying to make the field a level playing field, because a lot of years it has not. Especially at Phoebus, so that's my goal, and make sure that my student athletes have the best 4 years of experience of athletics they can, and to make sure they know that they got an athletic director that cares about them, not just sports, but cares about their well-being in the classroom, go to class, do those things, do some community work within the community to make sure that everybody knows that Phoebus athletics is just not just football. There's some good, bright, young students at Phoebus High School. And,
I love it.
It's a good thing. So, yeah.
My mom taught at Phoebus. My mom, right before you got there, she was there. She taught Jordan Bass and some other students. She loved her time there. And And, you know, I always ask about like the culture we talked about earlier, me, you, and David. And I just was curious about the culture there, but you kind of highlighted it about how you're really working hard to get it there and get the other sports on top. Is the school spirit? I know with football is there, but is the school spirit, because you know it's different interests now. We got these things that are distractions, these cell phones. Is the school? I know it probably won't ever get back to our time, but I mean, is the school interest and the spirit there from the administration and the students when it comes to sports?
Yeah, it is. The administration is doing a good job with that, and I'm doing a good job. You know, I got a Twitter page and an Instagram page for female athletics.
Yeah.
One good thing about Phoebus is they have a good video production academy
Mm.
where we got student athletes that are all participating in this academy. So they have their cameras and videos. So allow them to go to games, allow them to take pictures, videos, you know, different players. We put it on our Instagram account, Facebook account,
Yes.
just to bring that, you know, bring that excitement for Phoebus High School, you know, athletics. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I'm marketing. It's tough,
Yes.
but I know what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it for the kids. So, you
Yeah.
know, I work out every day, Vic, because hey man, I'm 51 now, bro. So
You look great.
in order for me to get this stuff going, man, I got to work out. That's like David. So
Hey, y'all look great. I ain't gonna lie. David always looked great. I think he came out.
that dude runs every day. Yeah, I ain't that way with him, but I tell you what, you know, he has definitely been showing me, Paul, stop eating too much. So you know, I got, you know, big brother gotta have he can't be too shabby. You know what I mean? So around him, but yeah, man, that's what we doing at Phoebus, man. Just trying
That's
to
great.
renovate the culture and go from there.
Yeah. And you know, I'm so glad that you talked about social media, man, because it's such, again, we're OGs of this, you know, we're old heads, but I'm very active on social media with my branding and also highlighting other players, even non-student athletes, just, you know, because social media can be the gift and the curse. I use it as a gift because branding and marketing is part of the game now. Some of these programs that are dying and struggling don't have a social media presence. And look, I'm not, now again, there's a lot of groups out here on Facebook, you know, they want to argue all day, 56-year-old men that want to name call. I don't do all that, but I want to highlight these volleyball players, these basketball players, these ADs that are doing it the right way. Because one thing I love is the fact that I can go back now and look at some of the stuff I've done, but now you can do it in real time and do interviews. And I look at some of the more successful athletic programs, even on the collegiate and even in the NFL or NBA level. Social media is the way to connect the fans and the casual fans and the athletes. So even if you have a brand, we can really talk about today with Glory Days, you have to have a social media presence. My son learned, you know, he came back and thanked me because he was like, Dad, I get why you were always recording my workout. My son's real humble. He was like, don't post that. I said, I gotta get you videos because we have to have not just mixtapes, but highlights for the college coaches and also just to kind of have a timeline, a history of all this. You're going to one day look back and say, oh yeah, I remember this. So good job by you, Paul, on that one, man. That's real. And I'm glad, man. Congratulations on keeping that going over at Phoebus. Great program, even though y'all are loved by many, but hated by more when it comes to football.
Yeah.
People, you say Phoebus, it's like, you know, people turn around like you cursing.
His boy Darryl Ward lets us know on every day.
Yeah. Shout out to my guy, Derek. Great dude. That's my dude. David, you got a great thing going down in the ATL, man. You got Glory Day, 4-on-4. Now, I did not know about that. So can you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Well, to your point, to Paul's point too, and what we talked about earlier, kind of answer my own question. I know you said it's a podcast for another day, but
No, you can speak on it. This is your legacy.
No, evolving. You know, like branding, like you talk about with your son, and you have to do things. The blunts of the worlds. The you know, it's more than just sport now. Even with us at Glory Days, we're working to get better with social media, not staying stagnant, not staying stuck. We're in the day that the athlete now controls the narrative. Like they can get up and go to one school. It's not they got to wait 2 years to play at another, you know, Power 5. They can control that narrative, which probably should have been done a long time ago. But hey, this is where we're at. But we have hosted tournaments across the country. We did the last 3 years. We did a tournament in Roswell, New Mexico. Last year we had 117 teams.
What kind of tournaments?
4-on-4 flag football tournaments. Lloyd, we host 4-on-4 flag football tournaments and youth leagues as well. We got a
nice.
6 to 12 year old youth league. We're starting in April this year. Our goal is to take our tournaments across the country. But with doing that, it's a lot of work, and we've hosted 2 tournaments in Virginia the past 2 years in York County. We got another year coming up in June the 21st. We have a tournament we're gonna be running Memorial Day weekend at another location. We'll drop that location this week coming up. But we'll be in Daytona Beach, Florida, for Memorial
Nice.
Weekend. But our goal is to grow and really get people to learn about the 4-on-4 style of play. We shrink the fields down 65 to 25 width, 64 yard long and 25 yard width. It's faster, it's fun. As you know, flag is growing. 5-on-5 is going to be in the Olympics in 2028. Paul and I have this discussion a lot. The girls' side is really booming. I would say in the next couple of years, you're going to start seeing girls start getting scholarships. I'm not going to say that's the peak, but that's going to be probably the minimum of a young lady to be able to get a full scholarship to a college to play flag. Obviously for the men's side, it's professional, the NFL, but they're accredited. Obviously you're starting to see colleges starting to throw those budgets in there for flag. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Obviously we're working to separate ourselves from a lot of other leagues out there with our youth side with mentoring and tutoring and things of that nature. So we're working diligently here. And it's been fun, man. It's been fun. And I love it because our high school level loves it because they get more reps in a shorter period of time. Quarterbacks get more throws, DBs get more chance, obviously more time to, play the ball. Receivers get more time to catch. Linebacker receivers get more opportunity to, play in the infield. Really not so much for the linemen. Obviously, you guys have your lineman camps, but the 4-4, I really love it. And I'm telling coaches, and I want the coaches to hear me, I'm not taking away from 7-on-7, but I'm helping your kids to get more reps in a shorter period of time. Obviously, 7-on-7 has its pros and cons, and obviously implementing your plays for your kids coming up for the next year. But the 4-on-4 is not for the faint of heart. Be in shape for kids that love to compete, and they love it, man. The kids love it. They get to select their own teams. It's not as controlled. They can formulate their own teams. Up to 6, 7, 8 players on the team at a time. So they get the reps. So I'll be sending you some information, and we do have a tournament coming up in June in Virginia, and we would love to get some teams from up north to come down too. That's the goal. We want to expand it. We want it to get bigger every year. Thank God my brother has been out there. He's helped us, tremendously, start up the last couple of years campaign, and we want to get more youth leagues out, and we want to get more high school teams out. So, but outside of that, man, we're just, we're working to grow, and we want to help change lives. We've already given over $10,000 worth, monies from our tournaments to organizations that have helped during our tournaments, and our goal is to do more. We want to grow. We want to help, young people that come out and support what we do too as well.
That's excellent, man. I didn't know anything about it, but now that I know, I'm gonna run my mouth about it. I'm gonna share it. That's great, man. And where can people find you? If I want to get in contact, if I'm a guy watching this and I have a team, how can we get in contact with you? Social media wise, email, contact information.
Yep, you can go to glorydays4on4.org. You can email us at info@glorydays4on4.org, or you can call us at 833-456-3297.
Okay.
That's 833-456-3297. And we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at glorydays4on4. We share some of the things we have coming up, and we'll be sharing more. So yeah,
this is great, man. This is great. You guys are using your talents in so many ways beyond the field, beyond the court and the track. That's great, and that's what it's about. That's the best part about this, is seeing what you're doing now. Unfortunately, we come from an era where, a lot of us, will go on and do different things, from, working in the military, the shipyard, coaching, AD, 4-on-4. But then some guys are in 13th grade and they stay stuck in that moment of like, back in my day, but it's like, yo, you're 48, man. You got to evolve. Evolving is not just with ADs and coaches. It's with people. You have to evolve. You have to take care of yourself, your mind, your body, and your spirit. And that's what Vicktory's life is about, leaving a legacy. And you both have done a great job leaving a legacy, and you're not done yet, which is great. We're not done. You're not done. Gentlemen, I really want to thank you both for jumping on, man. Just really appreciate you both sharing your experiences, your thoughts, your life lessons. This has been remarkable. Last thing I want you to do really quickly, because we're up against the clock. Paul, let you go first. Just highlight what this journey has taught you in regards to the life lessons I mentioned. From being an AD, a coach, setting records and tracking championships. And I don't mean just sports. What has it taught you in regards to perspective regarding your life and where you are right now? What is athletics and, your father and mother and all the different things we started to show off with? What has it taught you? And David, you're next.
It's taught me how to be disciplined, how to discipline your life, and how to put God first in everything you do, and how He was able to order your steps every step of the way. Teach you about life, teach you how athletics teaches how to face adversity, man. When you have to go against somebody that's better than you, are you gonna fall? I say you gonna mildew, you gonna barbecue. You gonna mildew, you gonna let them win, or you gonna barbecue, you gonna fight. And I think that's what athletics has taught me throughout my whole career, even with coaching. You're gonna have more bad days than good days, but a test of a man is how a man knows how to face adversity and how to continue on with patience and how to be on top. That's what athletics has taught me throughout my journey. Just keep fighting it. Know what your goals, know what your aspirations are, and get it done. And if nobody don't like you because you're getting it done, bye. They will never like you. Keep it moving. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to teach and to dial and to teach and to be a servant. I'll repeat that. To be a servant for others.
I love
Humble
it.
yourself. And that was what I have to live to taught me. Yeah.
David.
Awesome. That was great, P Mac. Similar. We just watched Philadelphia win the Super Bowl. But once the ball is kicked off in September coming up this year, 25, we're gonna forget that. We forgot that they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. But I say that just to say, a win, a loss is a loss, a win is a win. I think even after a win, even more so after a loss, it's pick back up that cross, man. Pick back up. Wake up every day, tie those shoelaces, put your pants on. But it's just moving from a loss, moving from a victory. Obviously, your podcast is called Vicktory Life. Victories of not just staying stuck on a victory, but what's next after the victory. And I think a life, a life full of victory is just the Bible even says, and then, obviously the races and the trophy isn't given to the one that runs the swiftest, but the one that runs and it can endure to the end. So obviously, as athletes, we all know once we have a loss, man, we can't wait to get back on the field. Or we can't wait to run another race. Or we can't wait to, kind of get that bad taste out of our mouth. Even more so after a victory. What next? What are you doing next? How can we continue to improve on that? And obviously, like Paul said, consistency, and obviously waking up with a purpose every day. And then for me, the last thing is, who can I help? I mean, even if it's one person a day, a lot of us think we gotta. Even I had this thought process of like, man, I gotta help so many people or whatever. But who can you help today? Who can you impact today? And how can you get personally better as a person? So for me, I think sports has taught me that. I can think about so many wins. I can think about so many losses. But it all has formulated and helped me to be the person that I am today by knowing that we compete, man. We compete. And when you bring the Macklin Brothers to the table to this podcast, we compete. We've been birthed to do that. And it does not mean we're perfect. Does not mean we shy down. But we play for an audience of one. And that's for the man up there. We play for an audience of one. And we appreciate you for recognizing, what God has done for us. And we appreciate you for what you're doing for the 757. So for me, to you, I know for my brother, we thank you for allowing us to come on here and sharing our testimony. And anything we can do for you, man, just let us know. Maybe we can get you out at a Glory Days tournament this year, man. You just run a live podcast.
Oh, wow.
Man. But definitely, we appreciate you and your time.
Thank you so much for those kind words, and thank you, man. Just for that. Thank you. No, I'm humble. Y'all gonna make me get emotional. I'm grateful for the great guests I've had on. I'm just God gave me a vision, and I'm just manifesting his vision in these episodes and just showing people, great people like yourselves. The Macklin Brothers have really had an impact on so many people, and your legacy on and off the field is continuing to grow. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. And as we sign off, I want to thank everybody for watching. I appreciate, on behalf of the Macklin family, thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to all the people that continue to join the Vicktory Life movement. I got to get you guys some hoodies, so I'm working on that. David, I'll talk to your brother, get the sizes and all of that, and it'll come via FedEx.
Yeah. You come to feed us, Tony. You come.
Yeah. I can come down there.
I'll snap a picture and give it to Vias in the Hampton community.
Okay. There we go. Yeah. The Vicktory Life movie. Yeah, we can do all of that. Yeah. We'll see. You know what I'm saying? But no, I do again. I thank everybody, like we say every episode. Thank you guys for joining in. Our Vicktory Life movement is taking off because everyone that believes the importance of legacy and giving back and paying it forward understand the vision of the Vicktory Life movement and the impact we can have by helping others. Like David said, what is going to be your impact and what is going to be your legacy? Once again, continue to subscribe to our channel for great episodes like that. We're on YouTube, where this is going to air, but also other platforms. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, aka Twitter. And like I say every episode, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, make sure you have a positive impact and leave a great legacy. I'm Dwight Vick. Thanks for watching, everybody. Y'all be blessed.
Bless. Appreciate you, but.
Sure.